Oleksandr Usyk beats Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury loses his O and lineal. Oleksandr Usyk is your undisputed champion at heavyweight, first since Lennox Lewis, first in the four-belt era. CombatTalk.fm, my name is Leicester. I'm your host. Obviously, I'm going to refresh. The podcast is on hiatus. We're not doing podcast episodes. This was worth covering. In Riyadh, out in Saudi Arabia, we had a slew of great fights. Amazing fights, I thought, for the most part. Boring-ass Frank Sanchez taking an L. That was great. I love seeing that. But the big headline, Oleksandr Usyk pulling it out against Fury. I watched the fight. People said, well, Fury just ran. All he did was going backwards. It's hit and not get hit. And you know what Tyson Fury is about. Now, I would criticize Fury for one thing. We saw against Dubois, Usyk go to a knee off a body shot. It seemed like Fury tried to throw body shots, but he didn't commit to them. It seemed like he did not do what I thought he should have done, which is go after Usyk, because he knew that Usyk didn't really have the power to hurt him significantly, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I felt like he should have just gone after him, worked the body the way Dubois did. Dubois worked the body with intent. It was part of the strategy. And Dubois was arguably robbed of getting that W against Usyk. And for whatever reason, Fury chose a different strategy. He went back kind of old school. This reminded me, his performance reminded me of his first fight with Deontay Wilder. But against Wilder, he's dealing with a power puncher. So the strategy made sense. That's why I arguably had Fury winning, 10 rounds. Here, I don't know what it was and why the strategy made sense, but what I visually saw, Usyk had a hard time reaching Tyson Fury. But when he did reach him, he's able to land on the jaw. Usyk was eating uppercuts that he shouldn't have been eating. And it just seemed like Usyk had a little bit of difficulty getting inside. The jab was giving him some problems. The range was giving him some problems. But both guys showed up, I would argue, very well on the night. They both tried very, very hard. It was a very close decision. I didn't see screams of robbery, but people claimed that they gave it to Usyk because of the war in Ukraine. I didn't see that because, again, it was a very close fight. It was razor thin going into the sixth. And then, Usyk would do just enough to land shots, and he had a very significant flurry near the end of the fight where Fury was rocked. He was wobbled. He was going backwards. He was held up by the ropes, and eventually they called a standing 8 because he was held up by the ropes. He could have knocked Fury out. He didn't get the opportunity to do it. But Fury it reminded me of Pacquiao versus Horn round 9. That's what it reminded me of, and how much Fury was getting bombed on. And it just seemed like maybe that was the strategy from Usyk. It just wait it out until you can land that right shot to wobble him like Steve Cunningham did, and then go after it maybe. But I never got the sense that Fury was significantly hurt. He just got caught with a shot he didn't see, and it wobbled him for a bit. Seemed like he was okay after, but he no longer has his O. He's no longer lineal champion, because he was lineal champion because he retired after he beat Klitschko, Grabomir, and nobody had beat him since. It's interesting, this performance. Again, both guys did good, but it's interesting to see that Fury did not go after Usyk. I thought Fury would go after Usyk and use his weight. Now, to the credit, the ref was not allowing very much clinching. He would break him up quick. He was not allowing Fury to do the leaning that Fury would later do to Deontay Wilder in the second fight that they had. So maybe that played a factor. Maybe that was part of his game plan, was to try to lean on Usyk and wear him down like he did against Wilder. I don't know. I didn't see him try that much. The clinches seemed like he was just trying to slow Usyk down. Usyk was fighting. He was fighting like a heavyweight Pacquiao. Like it was weird because he didn't fight like that against Joshua. I was very impressed what I saw with Usyk. I was very impressed what I saw with Tyson Fury. It's a good thing. Fury said he's going to invoke his mandatory rematch to run it back and see if we can do it again. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I don't know. I know they're going to do it on pay-per-view again. I wish they would not, but I understand. They got to get that Saudi money. But I think it's worth doing it again. That said, now the heavyweight game has shifted because boring-ass Frank Sanchez is out of the way. Jai Opetaia just got his vengeance and win. He did really good. We've got just a slew of great fights on deck. Agit Kabayel gets an amazing W. That was the Frank Sanchez. And the second, he took out Makhmudov. And I said Makhmudov was overrated. And boring-ass Frank Sanchez was overrated. The whole game is shifted. You got all sorts of different, and more importantly, the O is starting to matter less at every level. That's good for the sport. It's not going to convince me to get back in because, again, if this rematch happens and they put it on pay-per-view, I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't think they're worth the money. I think they need to figure out a way not to have to do pay-per-view for these events. I don't know what that answer is, but I think it drives off fans. Kudos to Oleksandr Usyk, making history in the four-belt era, being the very first undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, his first lineal title at heavyweight, first lineal title since Klitschko, prior to Fury, since Klitschko. Just an amazing accolade. He joins Inoue and Crawford right now as some undisputed peers that he's got at the top level. And the difference with Usyk, I think, if you look at resumes, right? Usyk dealt with Joshua twice, just now dealt with Tyson Fury, might deal with him a second time. Like if this happens and he does it again, he might just deal with Tyson Fury the second time. And at that point, you got to give Usyk his chops because he's fought at the top level. I don't know what the hell happened against Dubois, but he's the man. He is the man, is Usyk, and he deserves to be in that conversation over a guy who ducked boots, and it's in my personal opinion anyway.